Ethan floated slowly above the alien planet in his small exploration ship. From above, the world looked like a painting come to life. 2 suns bathed the land in soft gold and violet, while massive crystal forests reflected the light in hundreds of sparkling colors. Rivers of liquid silver ran through valleys that seemed to stretch forever. Ethan had traveled across galaxies, seen countless worlds, but none felt quite like this one. He landed near the edge of a crystal forest, careful not to disturb the glowing trees. The ground beneath him pulsed gently, almost as if the planet itself were alive. Ethan adjusted his helmet and stepped outside. The air was different here, thicker and sweeter than anything he had breathed before. Ethan was on a mission of peace. Humans had been trying to build alliances with other intelligent life forms, and this planet, ruled by the alien Queen Seraphine, was key. The Queen's people were known for their intelligence and their incredible technology, but also for their pride and strict rules. A wrong step could lead to disaster. Ethan reminded himself to stay cautious. As he moved through the forest, his sensors beeped softly. He froze, noticing a small movement ahead. A tiny figure darted between the crystalline trees faster than anything he had expected. A soft, panicked voice called out, "Dad!" Ethan blinked. He had heard the word clearly. The small figure came into view. A child, maybe no older than 6 by human standards. Her skin shimmered faintly in the sunlight with patterns that looked like flowing energy. Her eyes were enormous and round, glowing a deep blue. She ran straight toward him, arms outstretched, crying with fear and hope at the same time. "Dad!" she cried again, her voice shaking. Ethan's heart skipped. I think you have the wrong person," he said gently, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. But the child didn't hesitate. She leapt forward, wrapping her arms around him. Ethan stumbled slightly under her weight, but caught her before she could fall. He looked around quickly, expecting someone, maybe her parents or guardians, to appear and claim her. Instead, the forest was silent. But from the edge of the clearing, figures were watching. The largest figure stepped forward. A woman taller than any human, with a regal presence that made the air around her feel heavier. Her skin shone like polished silver, and her eyes, sharp and intelligent, locked on Ethan. This was the alien Queen Seraphine. Her expression was one of shock, fear, and confusion all at once. Ethan noticed that the child tightened her grip on him, hiding herself slightly behind his chest. "It's okay, I'll keep you safe," he whispered. Seraphine's voice was calm but firm as it echoed through the clearing. "Give her back, human. She does not belong to you." Ethan hesitated. I don't know who she belongs to." She ran to me, crying. "She's scared." Seraphine's eyes narrowed and a ripple of tension ran through the forest. The alien guards behind her adjusted their weapons, ready for orders. Ethan felt the weight of the moment. He was a stranger on this planet, surrounded by powerful aliens, holding a child that might be at the center of some deep mystery. What is she to you?" Ethan asked, glancing down at the child. The child didn't answer with words, only hugged him tighter, hiding her face. Ethan's heart ached at the trust in her gesture. Seraphine's voice softened slightly, almost unnoticeably. She has chosen you. It is not her fault." Ethan looked up sharply. "Chosen me?" "Yes," Seraphine said, stepping closer. "There is a bond. One I cannot explain, not even to myself. But she calls you Dad." Ethan swallowed hard. He had never been a father. Not in the human sense, not ever. Yet here was this small alien child reaching for him, as if he were the center of her universe. He felt a strange pull, a connection that made no sense to logic or science. Before he could ask more questions, a sudden movement caught his attention. A group of alien trackers, slender and fast, were coming from deeper in the forest. They moved like shadows, their intent clear. They were here to retrieve the child. Ethan tightened his grip on her and took a step back. "Looks like we need to move," he murmured. The child clung to him, fear still evident in her glowing eyes. Ethan scanned the surroundings. The crystal forest was dense, but he noticed a narrow path between 2 giant crystal spires. It looked like it led to a cave he had seen on his map. If they could reach it, they might have a chance to hide. Seraphine's voice came again, calm but urgent. "Go, take her. But know this, whatever happens next will change everything. You are now tied to her fate." Ethan nodded, unsure what to say. He didn't understand the full meaning of her words, but he didn't have time to ponder. He ducked under a low-hanging crystal branch, the child still clinging to him. The forest around them sparkled in the light of the twin suns, but danger was close. As they ran, Ethan noticed small things about the child. How her hands glowed slightly when she touched his arm. How she seemed to know where to step to avoid traps or unstable ground. Her instincts were sharp, almost superhuman. He realized that she was not just any child. She was extraordinary in ways he had never encountered before. The alien trackers were gaining ground. Ethan ducked behind a crystal formation, peering out carefully. They were fast, but their heavy armor made them less nimble. Ethan had to rely on his knowledge of human tactics and the terrain. He whispered to the child, "Stay close to me and don't make a sound. Trust me." She nodded, her face pressed against his chest, trembling but listening. Ethan led them through twisting paths, over glittering rivers and under crystalline arches that seemed to pulse with energy. Every step felt tense. Every shadow could hide danger. He thought of the stories humans told about alien worlds, how even the smallest decision could have life or death consequences. Finally, they reached the entrance of the cave. It was partially hidden by a cascade of crystal vines, almost invisible from a distance. Ethan helped the child inside, closing the entrance as best he could to hide their presence. Inside, the cave was dimly lit by glowing stones, casting soft blue and purple light across the walls. The child sat down, her small body shaking slightly. She looked up at Ethan with wide eyes. "Dad, they're coming for me," she whispered. Ethan knelt down, gently placing his hands on her shoulders. "I know, but you're safe with me. I'll figure this out. I promise." The cave was quiet for a moment, except for the faint hum of the crystals. Ethan looked at the child, studying her features. The glow of her skin, the strange energy patterns, the way her eyes seemed almost human, yet completely alien. He knew that understanding her would be more than science. It would require trust, patience, and courage. Outside, he could hear distant sounds, crystal branches snapping, faint footsteps, but for now they had a moment of peace. Ethan took a deep breath. Whatever had brought this child to him, he knew that his life had changed forever. The universe had a strange way of choosing people for impossible tasks. He had no idea what lay ahead, but one thing was certain. He could not let her down. The child nestled closer to him, exhausted but feeling safe for the first time in who knows how long. Ethan looked toward the faint light coming from the cave entrance, determined. He would protect her, no matter what. And somewhere far above, the alien Queen Seraphine watched from her palace spire, her mind racing. She had never expected this, never thought that a human could become so important even to her own kind. Something unprecedented had begun, and she knew that soon, both humans and aliens would face consequences that none of them could yet imagine. For now, though in the quiet cave, human and alien child sat together, bound by a connection neither fully understood, facing a future that promised danger, mystery, and perhaps an extraordinary friendship that could change the galaxy. The cave was quiet now, except for the soft glow of crystals illuminating the walls. Ethan sat across from the small alien child, Leora, watching her carefully. She seemed exhausted, but her wide blue eyes were alert, full of questions and fear. "Leora," Ethan began gently, "I need to understand. Why do you call me Dad? I've never met you before." The child's lips trembled. She looked down at her small hands, shimmering faintly in the crystal light. I don't know," she whispered. I remember you. You were there. You promised." Ethan furrowed his brow. Promised what? He couldn't recall ever meeting her. Humans had no records of her species, at least none he had studied. Yet something about the way she spoke, the trust in her eyes, made him believe her. "Okay," he said softly. "We'll figure this out together. You're safe with me for now." Leora nodded and leaned against him, her small body shaking slightly. Ethan could feel her pulse, fast, irregular, and strong for her size. He realized that the child's physiology was unique, perhaps enhanced in some way. But for now he couldn't dwell on science. He needed answers. Outside the cave, the world was alive with danger. The alien Queen Seraphine had not left the matter to her trackers alone. She had called upon her council, beings older and wiser than anyone Ethan had met. They debated quietly in the crystal halls of her palace, their voices carrying weight in the air like low thunder. "Why has she chosen the human?" one counselor asked. "It is impossible. A human cannot bond with our children in this way." Seraphine's eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the uncertainty she felt. "I do not know," she admitted. "But the child has made her choice. This bond is ancient, older than any of us can remember. It is written in the threads of life itself. He may be her protector, or more. Back in the cave, Ethan and Leora had begun to explore the hidden passages. Leora led him carefully, as if she knew the cave better than anyone. Her small hand glowed softly, lighting the path. Ethan noticed that the walls were etched with strange markings, symbols and lines that pulsed faintly like circuits. These symbols, he said, crouching to examine them. They look like a map of energy, or maybe a record of some kind. Leora nodded. They tell a story about me. About you, about what happened long ago. Ethan's eyes widened. Long ago? Yes, she said. Before I was born. You were there. You helped. You promised you would protect me, even though you didn't know it. Ethan shook his head in disbelief. I don't remember. How could I? Leora's tiny hand touched his arm, sending a faint warmth through him. It doesn't matter. It is in my memory. It is true. Ethan felt a mixture of awe and confusion. Something beyond human understanding had connected them. Somehow events in the past, perhaps on a mission long forgotten, had linked his life to hers. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the cave. Ethan instinctively shielded Leora. That doesn't sound natural, he said. Leora's eyes widened. The Queen's trackers. They are close. We must move faster, Ethan nodded. He had no weapons, no reinforcements, only his wits and the child beside him. He led them deeper into the cave, where the tunnels twisted and opened into hidden chambers filled with glowing crystals. As they walked, Leora's glow grew brighter. This way, she said. This place, it will keep us safe, but you must understand. I am not like other children. I have abilities. I can sense things, feel things, know things before they happen. Ethan glanced at her, impressed. Abilities? Like what? Leora looked up at him with serious eyes. I can feel danger. I can see paths others cannot. But I need you too. You are part of me. I cannot be alone. Ethan's heart ached. Protecting this child was no longer just about keeping her safe. It was about trust, loyalty, and a bond neither of them fully understood yet. Meanwhile, far above, Seraphine watched the pursuit from her palace balcony. Her thoughts were a storm of worry and curiosity. Humans were clever, yes, but they were also fragile. Why had Leora chosen Ethan? What could he offer that she, a queen, could not? Perhaps it is not about strength, one of her advisors said. Perhaps it is about something else. Something we do not understand. Seraphine's eyes softened. Yes, it may be. But time is short. If they are caught by the invaders or by my own people's misunderstanding, the child's life could be in danger. I must act carefully. Back in the cave, Ethan and Leora reached a large chamber. The walls were covered with ancient symbols and carvings. The crystals here glowed brighter, filling the space with a calm, soft light. Leora ran her fingers over the carvings. These are my memories, she whispered. They tell the story of why I'm here. Why I came to you. Ethan knelt beside her. Show me. I want to understand. As she touched the carvings, images appeared in the crystal walls. Shapes of stars, spaceships, and glowing figures. Ethan saw glimpses of his own past, missions he had long forgotten, and a mysterious experiment involving genetic bonds between humans and aliens. Leora's form appeared in these visions, running toward him, calling him Dad. Ethan's breath caught. He remembered fragments now. An unrecorded mission, a secret human-alien alliance, a promise he had made long ago in a moment of desperation. Somehow, that promise had reached across time and space, embedding itself in Leora's memory before she had even been born. It's true, Ethan whispered. I didn't know, but it's true. Leora smiled faintly, leaning closer. Yes, and it is true. That is why I came. That is why I chose you. Suddenly the ground shook again. The trackers were near. Ethan stood looking at Leora. We have to move. Stay close. Trust me. They ran through another tunnel deeper and darker until they reached an underground river. The water shimmered with bioluminescence, lighting the path. Leora stepped onto the water carefully, her glow interacting with the river, creating a pathway of light. Ethan followed her, amazed. How are you doing that? He asked. I don't know, Leora admitted. It just works. I feel the path. They reached the other side, panting but safe for now. Ethan looked back. The sounds of pursuit were fading, but he knew it was only temporary. The Queen's people were clever and persistent. Leora looked at him, eyes wide. Will they hurt us? Ethan shook his head. Not if I can help it. I won't let anyone hurt you. For a moment, they sat by the glowing river, catching their breath. Ethan realized something profound. This was more than a mission, more than survival. It was a bond that transcended species, a connection between human and alien that even the most advanced technology could not explain. In the distance, the twin suns set, casting long shadows across the alien landscape. The cave shimmered softly with the light of the crystals, and for the first time since the day had begun, Ethan felt a sense of calm. He looked down at Leora, her tiny hand in his. We'll find out the truth, he said firmly, and whatever it takes, we'll face it together. Leora smiled, her glowing eyes reflecting hope. Yes, together. Far above, in the crystal palace, the alien queen Seraphine watched silently. She knew now that the bond between human and child could not be broken, and though her pride as queen struggled with her fear, she felt something new, the beginnings of understanding, perhaps even respect, for a human who had unwittingly become part of a story far larger than either of them had imagined. The night fell over the planet, the twin suns dipping below the horizon. Ethan and Leora rested for a moment in the safety of the cave, unaware of the challenges and revelations that awaited them in the days ahead. But one truth had become clear. The past had brought them together, and now they would face the future as a team, no matter how impossible the odds might seem. And so, the journey had only just begun. The cave's quiet safety had lasted only a short while. Far above, the crystal forests shimmered under the twin suns. But Ethan knew the trackers were relentless. Their glowing armor reflected the light as they moved silently, methodical and precise. Ethan helped Leora to her feet. We can't stay here, he said. We have to keep moving. I don't know what they want, but I'm sure it's not just a friendly visit. Leora nodded, her glowing hands brushing over the cave walls as if sensing the path ahead. This way, she said, leading him through a narrow tunnel. The walls pulsed faintly, and Ethan realized the crystals were reacting to her presence. Somehow she could sense the energy of the place guiding them safely. Outside, the air was thick with tension. The alien trackers had split into two groups attempting to surround the cave exit. Ethan knew he had to think fast. He whispered to Leora, "Follow my lead. Don't panic no matter what you see." As they emerged, the alien sunlight hit them, casting long shadows on the crystal-studded ground. Ethan spotted the first group of trackers rushing toward them. They were fast, but not as agile as humans in terrain like this. Using a low wall of jagged crystals as cover, Ethan led Leora in a zigzag pattern, avoiding direct confrontation. One tracker shouted in an alien language, pointing directly at Leora. She flinched, but then, almost instinctively, a faint glow spread from her hands. The crystals around her vibrated and sent small flashes of light into the tracker's eyes. They staggered, momentarily blinded, giving Ethan and Leora the chance to escape deeper into the forest. Wow, Ethan muttered, catching his breath. You're full of surprises. Leora smiled faintly, still keeping close. I just react. I don't always control it, but I can feel danger and know the way. Ethan's mind raced. He had studied alien biology, but Leora's abilities went beyond anything humans had documented. Somehow she was a bridge between two species, connected to him in a way that was more than memory. It was instinct. They ran through crystal groves, jumping over glowing streams and ducking under arches of shimmering stone. Ethan realized that they weren't just running, they were being tested. Every obstacle seemed to push them further, as if the planet itself were aware of Leora's presence. Suddenly, they reached a wide clearing. In the center, a strange structure stood, an ancient alien tower half buried in crystal growth. Ethan paused. This might be our only chance to hide. If it's stable, Leora nodded, running ahead. It's safe. I've been here before. In my memories. Inside the tower, the air was cool and still. Ethan led Leora to the top floor, where a large observation window overlooked the entire forest. From here, he could see the trackers closing in. The ground below was filled with moving lights scanning every corner. We need a plan, Ethan said. We can't fight all of them. Leora placed her small hands on the window. They won't harm me. Not if you protect me. But you need to know the truth first. Ethan turned to her. What truth? Leora's glowing eyes met his. I am not just a child. I was made to be special. Part of me is human. Because of you. And part of me is this world. My abilities, my memories, they are from both. Ethan's heart raced. Part human, you mean? I somehow? Yes, she whispered. You were part of the process. Long ago, you were in the labs. You didn't know it, but your DNA, your memories, your choices, they shaped me before I was born. Ethan shook his head in disbelief. That explains the memories, but I don't remember any of it. You don't need to, Leora said softly. It was never meant for you to remember. But now the bond is real. You are part of me, and I am part of you. Outside, the trackers were regrouping. Ethan and Leora had little time. He turned to her.
We'll find a way out, together, no matter what. Suddenly, the tower shook.
The trackers had found a hidden entrance and were moving in. Ethan scanned the room for anything he could use. Crystals littered the floor. Some were loose. He grabbed a few and hurled them toward the trackers below. The reflections and flashes distracted them, giving Leora time to focus. Her glow intensified and the crystal floor beneath them began to hum. Light patterns shot across the walls, forming a barrier that shimmered in the air. Ethan realized that Leora was using the energy of the tower itself to protect them. Keep going, he shouted as more trackers appeared. With her guidance, they navigated through secret passageways within the tower. The corridors twisted and turned, some passages appearing to lead nowhere. But Leora's instincts were perfect. She led him to a hidden exit at the rear of the tower, where the forest thickened, and the trackers had less visibility. As they ran through the undergrowth, Leora's glow began to fade, her energy spent. Ethan noticed her slowing down and held her close. Almost there, he said. Just a little further. They emerged onto a wide plain, the twin suns casting long shadows over the landscape. In the distance, Ethan could see the alien city where Seraphine ruled. He knew that if they could reach it, the Queen might provide protection, or at least explanations. Leora looked exhausted, but she held his hand tightly. We need to reach her, she whispered. Ethan nodded. Then we'll go, and we'll face whatever comes next. As they moved forward, memories from the crystal tower haunted Ethan's mind. Visions of the labs, strange alien machinery, and the promise he had made long ago. Somehow those promises had crossed time, space, and species, bringing Leora to him. Finally, they reached the outskirts of the city. Towering walls and spires of glowing crystal rose into the sky, and Ethan could see the figure of Seraphine waiting atop a balcony. Her eyes widened as she saw them approaching, the child running toward him again. The moment was tense, electric. Leora cried out once more, "Dad!" and ran straight into Ethan's arms. Seraphine froze, her expression unreadable. Ethan held Leora tightly. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe now." Seraphine descended from her balcony, moving slowly, deliberately. Her regal posture commanded respect, but there was something else in her gaze. Fear, awe, and perhaps understanding. "You," she began, voice soft. "You have found her. And she chose you." Ethan stepped back slightly, unsure what to say. "I don't understand." "Why me? Why now?" Seraphine shook her head. "It is not something I can explain easily. It is ancient. Older than even my people know. She carries a bond that cannot be broken. You are part of her life, and now you must be part of her story." Leora looked up at Ethan, glowing faintly with relief and happiness. "I knew you would come," she whispered. Ethan's heart swelled. He finally understood. This was not just survival or escape. This was a connection that transcended worlds, a bond that could unite species, and a moment that could change the future of the galaxy. Seraphine stepped closer, her voice calm but filled with weight. "Whatever happens next, know this: you are now tied to her. Protect her and you will gain allies you never imagined. Fail, and the consequences will reach far beyond this world." Ethan nodded, holding Leora close. "I won't fail. I promise." The Queen's expression softened slightly. "Then come. There is much to explain, and even more to prepare for." As Ethan and Leora followed Seraphine into the heart of the alien city, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting the world in soft violet and gold. Ethan knew that the journey ahead would be difficult, full of mysteries, dangers, and discoveries. But he also knew one truth clearly. The child in his arms was no ordinary being, and he was no ordinary human. Together, they could face whatever the galaxy had in store. The chase was over for now. But the real adventure, the revelations, the battles, and the bonds that would define the future was only beginning. The city of crystals stretched out before Ethan and Leora, glowing softly under the twin suns that lingered on the horizon. The air was thick with anticipation, and every step they took echoed through the streets lined with shimmering towers. Alien citizens paused to watch them pass, whispering among themselves. Humans were rare here, and a human holding the child of the queen drew attention that was impossible to ignore. Seraphine led them to the heart of the palace. The walls glowed with intricate designs pulsating like a living organism. Guards flanked every corridor, watching carefully, but none made a move to stop Ethan or Leora. There was an understanding, this bond, whatever its origin, was something ancient, something powerful. Once inside the inner chamber, Seraphine turned to Ethan. Her expression was serious but measured. "You have proven yourself so far," she said, "but the galaxy will not let this peace remain unchallenged. There are those who would use Leora's abilities for destruction. They are approaching and we must be ready." Ethan nodded, gripping Leora's small hand. "Whatever comes, we face it together. I won't let her be hurt." Leora's eyes glowed faintly. "I can help too. With my abilities, I can sense their movements, see their strategies before they act." Seraphine's eyes softened as she looked at the two of them. "Then we must act quickly. We need to unite our strengths, human ingenuity and alien power, to protect not just Leora, but this world and the peace she represents. Outside, the skies darkened unnaturally as ships of a rival alien faction emerged from hyperspace. Their engines glowed with red energy, cutting through the violet evening like knives. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. These were not ordinary invaders. They were experts in war, technologically advanced, and determined to capture Leora for their own ends. Seraphine raised her hand, and energy shields formed around the palace and city. "This is our chance to show them what unity can achieve," she said. "Ethan, you lead the ground teams. Leora, your guidance will be essential." Ethan looked down at Leora. She nodded, fear and determination mingling in her glowing eyes. Together, they moved toward the front lines. Alien soldiers, armed with glowing weapons and armor, waited in formation, ready to defend their queen and city. Ethan quickly assessed the situation. Despite the advanced alien technology, he knew human tactics, unexpected moves, improvisation, and exploiting weaknesses could turn the tide. The first wave of enemy fighters descended, energy beams slicing through the sky. Ethan dodged with Leora clinging to his side, signaling the defenders where to focus. Her glowing hands pulsed with energy, sending subtle waves that disrupted the invaders' targeting systems. Every movement was precise, as if she could anticipate the enemy's actions before they even began. Ethan realized something important. Leora's abilities weren't just protective, they were strategic. She could foresee, guide, and coordinate in ways that no human or alien had been able to do before. With her help, the human mind and alien power were blending into a single force. As they pressed forward, Ethan noticed that some invaders were attempting to flank the defenders. He whispered to Leora, "We need to draw them here." She nodded, her glow intensifying as she extended her senses. Together, they tricked the enemies into thinking the palace's defenses were weaker on one side, luring them into a trap. The alien defenders took the bait, surrounding the invaders in a coordinated strike. Energy weapons clashed with red beams, explosions lighting the night. Ethan marveled at how perfectly Leora guided them. Every move, every decision seemed instinctive, almost as if the child was connected to everyone on the battlefield. Finally, the invaders realized they had been outsmarted. Their formation broke, and retreating ships fired one last desperate shot before vanishing into hyperspace. The city was safe, but the battle had left scars. Crystals shattered, streets scorched, and a lingering tension in the air. Ethan knelt beside Leora, brushing a strand of glowing hair from her face. "You were amazing," he said. "I've never seen anything like you." Leora smiled faintly, exhausted but proud. "We did it. Together." Seraphine approached, her expression a mixture of pride and relief. "You have both proven yourselves," she said. "Human and child working together. I see now what I could not before. The bond is real and it is powerful." Ethan looked up. "So what happens now? Do you approve?" Seraphine's eyes softened. "You are now part of her life, Ethan. Not by force, not by duty, but because the child chose you. That choice cannot be undone. She has bridged the gap between our worlds, and so have you. Humanity is no longer just a visitor, we are partners. Ethan's chest tightened. This was more than he could have imagined. The galaxy had thrown him into situations he never expected, and yet here he was, recognized not just by an alien queen but by the child whose life he now shared. Leora's small hand found his. "Dad?" "Yes," Ethan said softly, squeezing her hand. "Dad." The queen watched the two of them, her usually composed face breaking into a rare smile. "Perhaps this is the beginning of a new era," she whispered to herself. "One where humans and my people can truly understand each other." Ethan helped Leora to her feet. Together they walked through the city, past citizens who gazed in awe at the glowing child and the human who had protected her. The streets, once tense and cautious, now buzzed with hope. Children waved and elders nodded in respect. Ethan realized that he was witnessing something extraordinary, the merging of two civilizations, brought together not by treaties or politics but by the bond of trust, courage, and care between a human and a child. Seraphine led them to a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with brilliant streaks of violet, orange, and gold. Ethan felt the wind brush against his face, carrying with it the promise of a new beginning. "You see this," Seraphine said, gesturing to the horizon. "This is more than beauty. It is possibility. The galaxy can change, and it begins with trust and courage, qualities you have both shown." Ethan nodded, holding Leora close. "We'll do our best," he said. "No matter what comes next." Leora smiled, leaning against him. Together, the queen looked at them, her eyes thoughtful. "You will need guidance, but the child will always lead in ways I cannot. She is unique, and you, human, have shown that your species is capable of understanding, protecting, and loving across worlds. That is rare." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. It wasn't just pride. It was the recognition that humanity, in its simplest forms, caring, ingenuity, and courage, could make a difference even among the stars. As night fell fully, the city glowed softly, a beacon of unity and hope. Citizens of both species gathered to watch the twin moons rise, a symbol of balance and cooperation. Ethan looked down at Leora, her glow gentle now, and realized that this was not just a story of survival. It was a story of connection, of bridging worlds, and of proving that humans, ordinary humans, could be extraordinary when they chose to care. Seraphine stepped beside them. "From this day forward, you are recognized as her protector, her guide, and a part of our history. Let no one forget that a human has earned the respect of a queen and the love of a child who is destined to change the galaxy." Ethan looked at the horizon, then down at Leora. "I never expected any of this," he said softly. "Neither did I," she replied, a small smile on her face. "But I'm glad it's us together." The queen nodded. "The future is uncertain. Challenges will come. But today humanity has shown its heart. Today a child has chosen and a human has risen to the challenge. That is how change begins." Ethan held Leora tightly, feeling the bond that had brought them together stronger than any weapon, any technology, any power in the galaxy. And for the first time, he truly understood the meaning of being called Dad. Together, the human, the alien child, and the queen looked out over the city of crystals. Stars began to appear in the sky, bright and distant, like tiny promises of adventures yet to come. Ethan felt hope, not just for them, but for the galaxy, knowing that one bond, one choice could ripple across worlds and change everything. And so, under the twin moons and rising stars, a new chapter began, one of unity, courage, and the extraordinary possibilities that arise when a human heart meets the vast wonders of the universe. The child's small hand rested in Ethan's, glowing faintly in the night. "Dad," she whispered again. "Yes," Ethan replied. "Always." In that moment, the galaxy felt a little smaller, a little kinder, and full of promise.